Hello and welcome back to the Radio Reason podcast. It's episode 9 now, and I've got a special guest with me. Divinity is joining us today, so thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, let's get straight into it. So my first question is obviously, when did you get interested in philosophy, and how did you get interested in it?
Yeah. I think I was 14, 13. I was in eighth grade. And I really liked it. In America, the all the culture surrounding the Trump debates. This is like when Trump was
Mm,
first running. Um, and yeah, I mean, there was a lot of debate around that in my school, especially because this was like kind of nearing this was like nearing COVID. It was like pre-COVID. It was the Biden Trump election. That's what it was.
yes.
And I, there was a debate club in my school, and I would I was an angsty teenager, so I'd argue, and I just got really into arguing online. So like I was into Ben Shapiro and like
Mm,
Steven Crowder and all these other right wing people.
mhm.
And then eventually I found out like who Destiny was, and I was like, wow, this guy's like really good at arguing. And then I saw, just because I was watching Destiny content, he debated philosophy, and I was like, oh, I could do that.
Oh,
But it was
nice.
mainly to debate politics. Like the philosophy was for politics, and
Yeah.
then yeah, I mean, eventually I just kind of followed it back, and I was like, oh, there's politics, and there's ethics, and there's like all this other philosophical stuff. And then ever since then, I was kind of into philosophy because of debating.
Yeah, it's like a crazy loophole. But yeah, so you've been in like sort of like the domain then for a while. Then you said 14, so been around
Yeah, yeah, no,
for a bit.
I've been debating for a while. Yeah.
Nice, nice. All right. So the question is then, when did you start? Like debating your ideas and your views on TikTok?
um, I think probably when I was 15. So like
Yeah.
going into my freshman year of high school, it was COVID,
Mm.
and naturally, I'm just going to be online like all the time. And I started out on Discord. Like I would just debate people on like these popular like politics and religion server.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just debate, and then eventually I started debating on TikTok maybe a year later.
Mm.
Abortion was like a really big topic, and yeah, so about 14 or about 15, like freshman year of high school, I started
Okay.
debating on TikTok.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people actually came from like Discord debating servers and everything. How does that actually work? Do you just get like a bunch of people join the same server and you'll just sort it out? How does that
Well,
work?
yeah, there's like big popular servers. So one example is there's a server called Politics and Religion
Hmm.
that has just existed for a long, long time. And I just went online. I was like, where to debate online,
Yeah.
and it like suggested this Discord server, and then eventually you meet people in there, and they'll invite you to new servers, and so yeah, it
Oh,
starts there,
okay.
and then they just kind of you get progressively more niche based on what you debate, who you meet.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Um. So this this kind of gets quite niche like now. We're getting into your ethical views. Um.
Mm.
So I think I heard you say that you're like an anti-realist, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like run us through that. Have you always been like an anti-realist, and why do you take that position?
Yeah. So for some broader context, I really like the philosophy of Ayn Rand. It's called
Yes.
objectivism,
Hmm.
and Rand is like kind of famous for rejecting the nomenclature of professional philosophy. Like she doesn't really speak using their terms. Her whole philosophy is kind of looking back at the way it works in academia, being like that's totally backwards. Um, so there's there's that context. I call myself an anti-realist because the way I think about the realism anti-realism debate
Hmm.
is those terms basically come after Kant. So there was Kant, and Kant came up with his ethical views. He kind of founded deontology,
Hmm.
and he considered that like what he was discovering was the objective moral principle, the categorical imperative.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so after Kant, philosophy, the ethical philosophy was divided into realist and anti-realist thought. And the term real just meant like philosophy the way Kant thought it worked. So it just meant like there are categorical imperatives. There are reasons
Yeah.
that do not depend on you or your goals or your happiness or anything like that. Um, so in that way, I'm not. In that way, I'm an anti-realist. And I'm an anti-realist because I don't think that morality is kind of it's like somewhere out in the world, and I like discover it. It's like, and it's kind of, it sounds really mystical to me.
Yeah.
I and so in that way I'm an anti-realist, but I'm not like a subjectivist. So within anti-realism, there's a bunch of different,
Yeah.
there's a cluster of different views. I would consider myself what's called a constructivist. So I'm different than a subjectivist because I don't think like your desires make moral statements true, and I don't think that simply the culture makes things true. I instead think that moral statements are uh, moral, or I'll say maybe moral principles are constructed. And I think there is like a better or and worse way to construct moral principles. Like I think there's like an actual criteria for evaluating whether this is a good moral principle to hold or a bad one. But it's not stance independent, but it is in some way fixed by the facts. So it's like it's kind of like at a weird middle ground between realism and anti-realism, but like I guess
Yeah.
technically it's a form of anti-realism.
That is interesting. Can you run me through that a little bit? Because I'm interested. Like what's the like criteria on any sort of view?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um like other forms of constructivism, I think that you have to start with the what gives rise to morality to begin with. Like how do you even get moral concepts?
Mhm.
Um, my basic view is I think normativity is it's not categorical, it's
Mhm.
teleological. So like I think about moral norms in terms of like how to achieve goals. So it's
Mhm.
like hypothetical normativity.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so given that it's based in hypothetical normativity, or it's goal based,
Mhm.
I then think, okay, what makes me different than a subjectivist? Well, I think that by being an agent, there are intrinsic and naturally held goals, just that like constitute and are like just part of being an agent. Um,
Mhm.
and so I think there are some goals which are not optional. Like you can't like choose to not have them. You just by nature have them. Um, and it's on the basis of those goals that I think you can get universal principles that every agent has to abide by. Not because there's like a stance independent like moral fact out there, but because there are facts which are kind of built into being an agent. Um,
Okay.
that's the basic way the meta ethics works. I mean, I can explain
Yeah.
kind of how the normative ethics work, but that's the basic way the meta ethics work.
Could you run me through some of the facts that are like not optional?
Yeah. So this is gonna sound really broad, but
Mhm.
um, for example, being rational.
Mhm.
Sometimes the term being rational is defined as like being responsive to reasons.
Mhm.
Um, there is no way to be an agent and to deliberate without responding to reasons. Because, in fact, what an agent is, like what makes an agent different than a non-agent, is that they deliberate using reasons.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so a constituting norm of agency, like a universal norm everybody has to uphold, given what an agent is and what their goals are, is they have to respect reasons. They have to act in line and in accordance with whatever the reasons are.
Mhm.
Um, so that's one example of a moral fact or a moral principle is be rational. There's no alternative to being rational.
Interesting. Okay. So, are you saying that because someone can be like irrational, like by option, right? Just on purpose.
Sorry, say that again. There was a
Like,
lag.
okay, sorry, my bad. There can be someone can choose to just be irrational, like, and that's an option for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, people have the capacity to choose that, but the
Mhm.
the point is that that would go against kind of a fundamental norm of theirs, which is acting based on reasons.
Okay, interesting.
So,
I think I get it. I don't. Mhm.
so one way you might think about it, right? Imagine you were trying to justify a behavior,
Mhm.
like you're trying to morally justify a behavior.
Okay.
Well, just based on the definition of the term justify, you can't justify a behavior without reasons.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right?
I
Because
agree.
in
Yep.
order for a behavior to be justified, that's yeah. So then, if there are decisions which are irrational by nature or something like that, if you were trying to evaluate like, um, okay, is that something they should or should not do? I take that to be equivalent to saying, is this decision justified or unjustified? And then
Mhm.
of course, then like that decision is just on its nature not justified, because by its nature unjustified, and it shouldn't be done because it's irrational. And so the whole idea of like looking for reasons, when you ask like, should I do this? Should I do that? Why should I do this? Why should I do that? That whole enterprise, that whole inquiry is based on looking for reasons. And so the assumption then
Hmm.
is like, okay, like the fundamental moral principle for everybody is rationality. Like you have to respond to reasons.
Okay. So, if that like, so my this kind of gets into the next question as well, because my next question was sort of, are you ever obligated to do something, and does normativity or oughts exist? So you
Yeah.
think that there is like there are shoulds, there are things that you should do. You believe that,
Yeah.
and one of them would be just being rational, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it might help to kind of understand my normative ethical views.
Yeah.
So because the whole agency and how reason is required for that, that's more meta ethical. It's really abstract. Here's how this looks more practically. So, like I said, the difference between my view and moral realism is that moral realists think that you just should like that the norms are unconditional, like they just apply to you somehow in some way. They just like are inherently obligatory.
Hmm.
I have literally no idea how that's supposed to work. um I think it has to be choice based, right? It has to be goal based. So you
Yeah.
need to be committed to some goal, and then you'll be committed to some norm based on your commitment to the goal.
Yeah.
Well, um I then think in turn, okay, if you look at goals, is there a nature to goals? Like, are there goals that are there things which can or cannot be a goal? Like, can everything be a goal?
Mm.
What gives rise to goals? Like, what needs to exist in the world in order for goals to exist? What needs to happen in order for goals to be achieved? And when you look at the nature of goals, um, long story short, I think that the process of living,
Hmm.
like biology and the process of sustaining your life, I think that's the fundamental factual basis for goals. Like I think goals are made possible by the fact that things are living, and I think that living makes necessary goals. Like in order to live, you need goals. And so I think there's like this fundamental um, goal, and this fundamental basis that you can have, which is living or not.
Okay.
And it's in response to that choice to live that I think you're binded and obligated to all these different um, moral norms. So, for example, I think being productive is something that people should do. That's obligatory, and I think it's obligatory because I think it's a requirement in order to live on Earth.
That's interesting, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't necessarily understand it as um like, I understand that. I think there are, especially when you choose the option to just stay alive rather than, like, taking your own life.
Hmm.
There are, I don't know if, like, especially being productive. I don't like. Could someone not just not be productive? Like, why should they be productive? Would be.
Yeah. So the basic explanation for that is, so if you take for granted that life
Mhm.
is the ultimate goal, like there might be some debate over whether that's true, but if you think life is the fundamental goal, and it's the only thing that can be a fundamental goal. Like death is not a goal. You can't like achieve death.
Mhm.
You just don't exist if you're dead, right?
Yes.
Okay, if life is the only fundamental goal, then the maintaining the requirements for life therefore are like necessary goals you have to pursue because of your fundamental goal. Like in order
Yeah.
to live, you
I
need to
think.
do such. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I understand, because there's going to be certain, like, requirements to sustain your goal. Like, I understand, like, for example, like
Hmm.
eating and drinking water. Like, I think that's going to be like a goal to. Well, would you say that's a goal for your, like, ultimate goal?
Yeah. Yeah. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, those are examples of goals that serve the ultimate goal.
the
Yeah.
ultimate goal, right? But it seems weird that like, you could just, like, eat and drink on just the bare minimal level, and then, like, I don't know, not be
Mhm.
productive, and you can still just stay alive. Does that make sense? That's sort of what I'm seeing.
Yeah. 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 So it's important to understand that there's different levels to the goals you need.
Hmm.
And the goals that you need depend on different parts of your nature. So for example, like because you have a digestive system, you need to eat food,
Yeah.
and because you have a respiratory system, you need to breathe and whatever.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so what does productivity correspond to then?
Yeah.
And the basic, and this is the distinction between moral imperatives and then some of these more basic, like by these more basic, physical imperatives.
Hmm.
What makes productive work necessary is not particular aspects of your physical body. I think it's something like this is kind of a philosophically ambiguous term, but it's something like your metaphysical nature.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the nature of survival itself is taking the environment and conforming it to your needs. That's not like a particular aspect of your body. That's true of like everything about living as a human being. Like
Hmm.
you can take food, for example. Like food is not automatic. Like you have to go out and you have to like make food from the world.
Yep.
And shelter is not automatic, right? You have to go and make it. So, and it's the same thing for more abstract stuff. So, like you need to make friendships. You're not born with them. You need to make romantic relationships. You need to make purposes. You need to make happiness, right? So all these things are created by exerting your will onto the world. And that's what productivity is. Productivity is taking your will and exerting it on the world to get what you need from it. And so that's the way in which productivity is necessary for survival. So even you'll observe, even if you're minimally living,
Yeah.
what you're still producing, right? Like you still need to produce.
I, this is really interesting. Like I actually I like this a lot, but I get really confused. So everything stems to the ultimate goal, and that's you living, right? That's fine. I
Uh-huh.
get that you have to take. You always, I like taking from reality itself. Sure, but I don't know where the should's coming from. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you can.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that's universal for like every human that they should go do these things? Like,
I think, yeah. So the should is coming from the choice to live.
hmm.
So it's
But do you not
it's
think you
not
can live
mystical.
without doing these things?
Um, you can, but it's important to understand that the fundamental goal,
Yeah.
which is living,
Hmm.
is distinct from uh, maybe lower level goals, like the way in which you might choose to exist. So, and the basic idea is that there's many different lifestyles, right?
Hmm.
So there's living minimalistically, like the one you described,
Yeah.
and then there's the lifestyle of being productive, consistently being productive and consistently being ambitious and consistently working really hard.
Yeah.
Um, the point of the productivity as a moral virtue is the point that the lifestyle that you described
Yeah.
is is partially consistent with the requirements of being productive, and it's partially inconsistent, right? Because like sometimes you're being really productive and sometimes you're not.
Hmm.
And the point is that the should from being productive comes from the fact that there are some lifestyles which are kind of characterized by an inconsistent or an incomplete approach to the things which actually sustain your life. And the idea is that if you recognize that productivity is a requirement, right? If you recognize that productivity is a requirement to living, even in the super like minimal lifestyle, well,
Hmm.
then if it's a requirement, then you should adopt the principle which you know allows you to fulfill the requirement, which is being productive, and you
Hmm.
should adopt it consistently. Um, and so that's the basic idea. Like if somebody was living a really minimalistic lifestyle and they just weren't being very productive, I would what I would say if they were like, well, why should I do that?
Hmm.
It's like, well, because what the reason you should do that is because it actually lets you live more completely. Like in a way, people who live minimalistic are not really living fully. Um,
Okay.
they're leaving so much on the table.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually like I agree. I take up like this position where um I think there's like an objective good for the human like nature. Like I do believe
Hmm.
there's an objective good. I think there's forms of like teleology that if you fulfill to, obviously just fulfill them, you're just going to be better off as a human, right? I understand that.
That's right.
But the struggle I have is just that they should do something, that they should do that. I completely agree that if they want to live better as a human, then they've created a goal, right? And they
Hmm.
obviously should take on. It's like a hypothetical, um, like reason that they should take it on, right?
Uh-huh.
So I agree, but imagine they just don't want to live like as like the best, not the best. Just like the standard of human life that you should probably aim for. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how to word it without saying that you like you should do it. But you know what I'm
Uh-huh.
getting at, right? Because there is this like perfect way by fulfilling like teleology and everything like this, but I don't think
Uh-huh.
there's like an obligation to do so. Like if someone wants to live as
Well,
like a really like bad like human is in a functional way, bad in a functional way, then I
uh-huh.
don't see where like they I don't know if they're doing anything like wrong there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so you put it using functional language. I think that's right. Like
Yeah, functional. Yeah.
I think I think the terms good and bad just are functional terms. And I think moral good and bad are functional terms relating to the kind of lifestyle that you have.
Okay.
Um
Hmm.
and you're saying, okay, suppose somebody doesn't desire to be productive.
Yeah.
You're saying, well, why should they? It's important to make a distinction between the the fact that something is morally obligatory
Yeah.
with the person who you're describing, whether or not they're like emotionally incentivized to do something that is morally obligatory. I think it's important to disconnect. Like, just because you do not feel passionately about something, or you even recognize it at a very conscious level
Hmm.
that something is morally obligatory, doesn't mean that it's not. I think that there are. If somebody told me like, "Oh, I don't want to live a productive lifestyle. I don't want to hang out with my friends or something like that." I think the response to them is like, "I think you're thinking incorrectly." Like,
Okay.
I think you're thinking incorrectly. And if you have to make the distinction between um, identifying that something is morally obligatory versus like trying to convince them. Like,
No.
how to convince
Yeah.
somebody is a little
Hmm.
different, right? Like,
I
somebody just might not be thinking very hard about the
I
issue, and it's like,
definitely.
okay, well, I mean, I guess I can convince you.
Yeah. No. I definitely understand where you're coming from. I think the position I hold though is just that I guess I might be the like incorrect thinker, I guess, because I just don't see. I get what you mean. The thing it can still hold that there's like an obligation, like morally, but
Mhm.
they're just not thinking properly, or they don't see why, or something. I totally understand, but I just don't see the obligation. Like I actually don't see it at all. That might just be from my
Well,
ignorance, I guess.
I think part of it is like what is meant by an obligation, like right? Like
Yeah, and
I think once you get clear on what those means, I think it becomes clear.
I think obligations are like the weirdest thing. They're really weird to me because I take obligation as just like you should be doing that thing or that action. You should be doing it. And
Uh,
to say that this thing is just like coming from somewhere, like that I'm forced to do like take up on something is really weird to me. That's why I don't
well,
like
that's
obligations
why
or
I don't
oughts.
think.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't think it as a choice. I think about it this way. So
Hmm.
here's how I use terms good and bad. So like I said, I think what is good and bad is like living an excellent human life. Like I think
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
that's in fact what the standard for good and bad are. But so what's the distinction between for me when I say this thing promotes an excellent human life and saying this thing is good? What's the difference between those two things? The difference is that it's about the way in which it relates to my thinking. That sounds really broad, but I'll put it this way: when I say this action promotes an excellent human life,
Yeah.
I'm just speaking descriptively about the qualities of the thing.
Yeah.
But when I say this thing is good, I'm talking about the same thing. When I say it's good, I mean I'm regarding it as action guiding. I'm treating it as if it's salient. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm treating it as if it guides my action. Like if I said, yeah, I mean that's the basic idea. So if somebody says like this is morally obligatory, the basic idea behind saying something's morally obligatory, and the difference between saying something's morally obligatory versus this is functionally good or whatever,
Hmm.
um, is that when I say something is morally obligatory, I'm understanding the functional, I don't know, the functional good or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
understanding the functional good um, with respect to my goals and like what I'm trying to achieve. Um,
That's
so this is, Yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I was gonna
I can
say.
clarify, but
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off. I was just gonna say that makes
you're good.
total sense, but it just seems just subjective. Like to your goals, you want to be living to like the fullest human life you can. Therefore, you're gonna
Uh-huh.
take on like the best like functional actions for your being. That's fine, but I don't know that's the case that this is like put on everyone else. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but this is the importance of the previous point though. Like I think that
Yeah.
all goals, even subjective, arbitrary, irrational ones, they depend on the fundamental goal of living,
Hmm.
right? And so my view is that my view is that it if by subjective you mean it's chosen, like it is chosen. But my idea is that at a very fundamental level, there's not an alternative to living. You either live or you don't. And if you
Hmm.
choose to live, then there are certain requirements of doing that based on your choice. Like that's where it comes from. It's like based on your choosing of living. Um,
I might
so it's
just
not as if there's like
yeah, I like it's just so hard for me to grasp. Like I do like understand where you're coming from. I just don't know whether like you can
if you're a
Mhm.
subjectivist and let's say you're one of these people you don't desire to live productively, right?
Yeah.
If you ask that person, they go, I don't see the reason to do that. Well, you should try to understand. Okay, what do you mean by reason? Like when a subjectivist or a person who's living minimally, when they say what's or why should I live that way?
Hmm.
What's the reason to? Like what exactly are you asking for? And I think once they realize that when they say reason, they're really in some way just either asking for either a motivation or they're asking for an explanation of how it contributes to their life. And I think once they think in that broader, once they clarify what the question even means, I think it becomes evident how something being consistent with your fundamental goal makes they would then be motivated to be like, oh yeah,
I think
that would be
yeah.
something I should do.
I think I actually understand it now because I was gonna say, what about if they're just like happier in a state of just not like promoting all their functions or goals as a human being, but that's then there's a difference between um like them not knowing the goals when they're actually there. You know what I mean? Like they may be
Yeah.
happier in like a pleasurable state, but for the being like for the human nature, that's not actually correct.
What I would also say,
Hmm.
I think that certain psychological experiences like pleasure, joy, happiness,
Yeah.
I think those things depend on living the way I'm talking about. So that's part of
Okay.
it too. Like if you're thinking from the first person perspective of like, oh, like why should I do any of these things?
Yeah.
Presumably you're probably thinking in terms of like joy, suffering. You
Hmm.
want to be living a more qualitatively better experience, whatever. And then I think what you recognize is you recognize, well, how is it that what has to happen in order to achieve happiness? Like happiness is not random. It doesn't just like, it's like random shit does not make you happy. It's not arbitrary.
Yeah.
It's not subjective. Like it's a feature of a biological thing. Like it's a consequence of certain processes. And I think, and this is my view, that happiness is a consequence of living excellently, right? So like
Okay.
I think happiness is the emotional counterpart to living in a complete full way, functionally well way. Um,
Interesting.
and so from that perspective, you'll see, oh yeah, like I should be productive because it makes me happy.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Um, I kind of forgot my train of thought there. So, I mean, there's a lot to like break down. If someone said like, why should I do this rather than just like, sitting in my bed all day or something, well, you have to go through sort of like a lot of what we just went through and explain that there's like an ultimate goal. Like you
Like, what are you
just,
trying to gain? Yeah, like
mm-hmm,
when they ask why should I do that, like what do you have in mind? Like, are you trying to gain something? Presumably they're
mm-hmm,
trying to gain pleasure or happiness or joy. And then you'd say, oh, you should do this, and then you would get them to understand the connection that something has to their happiness. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I should totally do that.
interesting. But like then, if you're saying like you should be productive because it will make you like more happier, what about if they're just like no, it wouldn't? Like they just don't get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so then this is a case of what if somebody doesn't understand the relationship that something has to
Okay.
happiness?
So you think like just being productive as a human is just one of the functional goals you should undertake.
Yeah, like I think it's yeah, I think living a human life requires being productive, and I think happiness is a consequence only achieved by being productive.
Interesting. Also, I
Uh,
have a question on where do you think you understand the goals? Like, so imagine you have like a few humans on Earth and they've never like been productive. Does it just come from experience? Do you have to be productive to then realize, okay, this is like the
yeah,
excellent way of living, or this is the
yeah,
functional way of living? Hmm.
yeah. I'm an empiricist, so
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like
Hmm.
I agree with Aristotle in the first chapter of Nicomachean Ethics. He says this. He's like, people who are young and people who are inexperienced or immature, they're not in a position to really understand ethics at a formal level, right?
Mm.
Um, because they don't have the lived experience to even have the body of knowledge to know what they're talking about. Um, and yeah, I mean, this is why like human knowledge. I mean, knowledge is not inherent; it's earned, and you have to get it through lived experience and from the right, thinking about it.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, if there's a group of, savage people, and they were just on the earth and they've been living for a while, the way I think you get ethical codes is you like reverse engineer it. You're like, oh shit, like what did this do for me? And then you're like, you
Yeah.
draw the connections causally, and so yeah, it takes time to like build an ethical theory. So
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So if we take it down the other route, so when someone like let's say someone just like kills someone, hmm
Mhm.
what's happened? Like, are you gonna say? I don't know how you're gonna go about this in your views. You'd have to explain sort of what you think about that. Is this bad for the
Yeah,
being? This is also bad for the being who's like committing the action as well, right?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so. Because you take a very like it seems like you take a very like Aristotle's view on like character based ethics sort of. So
Yeah, I'm an Aristotelian broadly. I mean, so I'm a kind of virtue ethicist,
yeah.
and the basic idea is, importantly, I'm what's called an ethical egoist.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, I think that the ultimate goal of ethics is to benefit your life and
Yeah.
make you happier. And so, okay, then, like, why does killing people
Yeah.
make me unhappy or something?
Hmm.
Like, I presumably people kill people and they're like really happy about it. How is that somehow? Would review sanction that? And the answer is no. And I think this goes back to the idea, like I said, that I think happiness and living well are objective. Like it's not random. Like there's like a fact of the matter. It's like how to achieve happiness
Yeah.
and what you have to think in order to do it. And I think that, yeah, I think the kinds of I'll put it virtues, the kinds of character traits or the kinds of methods or approaches, the kind of lifestyle required to endorse killing is anti-flourishing, and that's an explanation of why it's immoral. So, for example, like
Hmm.
being unjust, I think being unjust is self-destructive because I think you should treat good people well and bad people poorly. Um, and when you kill an innocent person, you're treating a good person poorly, right? So you're like punishing good things. And so it's like, well, why is that self-destructive? Well, because good things can benefit you. Because good things are good for you for the same reason they're good for other
Ah,
people. It's because it's promoting human
interesting.
life.
I like
So
that. Yeah, I was going to say how is that like unproductive for you, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You explained it well.
yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay. Well, um, let's move on. So my next question
Cool.
was on this is also a really interesting topic for me. Um, like theory of substance. So the question is formed like what are your thoughts on hylomorphism, and kind of comparing it with substance dualism.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So hylomorphism is a broader metaphysical theory.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not a hylomorphist.
Okay.
Um, there's a couple technical problems with hylomorphism.
I'd love to hear them.
Um, yeah, okay. So here's one technical problem with hylomorphism.
Mhm.
It's called the anatomy of prime matter problem.
Oh, not
And
prime matter. Oh god.
anatomy of prime matter. So here's how this problem
I
works.
hate prime matter.
According to the
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
me
go.
too. So yeah, no, yeah, me too. So this is one of the problems with hylomorphism is that it requires this distinction between material and form.
Yeah.
And the material, the metaphysical counterpart to the material, or sorry, an implication of material is that it's potent because there's oftentimes form and matter are used to explain how something can have potency and how something is actual. So like the form is like responsible
Yep.
for its actuality,
Actually,
and the
yeah.
matter is responsible for its potentiality.
Yep.
Um, okay, so of course then there's an acknowledgement that things have a kind of structure. There's like a hierarchy to a thing's being on hylomorphism. So there's like the essence, which is the kind of most determinate form, and then there's like kind of lower forms that are included and connected to the essential form or the substance form. And then same thing for matter, like something. So for example, a house may be made of bricks, right?
Hmm.
And the individual bricks are made of individual pieces of clay, and the clay is made of like these particular molecules, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last moving part to understand the criticism is that so there's form matter, there's act potency, there's also the principle of individuation, the principle of universalization. Now, what this means is it means this: in order to distinguish particular, so substance is the term used in hylomorphic literature, but that's like basically to distinguish different things.
Yeah.
You distinguish things based on their material components. So, for example, me and you are both human beings, and so according to hylomorphism, we have the same form,
Yep.
right? But we're distinct because we have different bodies, right?
Yep.
And so we're distinguished because of our matter. So in order to individuate things, right,
Yep.
you individuate things by referring to their matter.
Yep.
And in order to make things similar, you refer to the forms. Like me and you are both similar because we're both humans, right?
Yep.
So forms universalize, matter particularizes, it individuates. Okay,
Yep.
here's the problem. The problem is that hylomorphism, when you include all these things, cannot account for identity, cannot account for the difference of things. And here's why. Imagine we go back to the example of the houses, right?
Yeah.
Suppose you have two houses and they have the same form. Like
Yeah.
they have the exact same form. So like same arrangement of stuff, like everything's just like the bricks are like organized the same way,
Hmm.
all this other stuff. Okay, what makes the houses different? You might say it makes you would say if you're a hylomorphist, oh, it's because this house is made of these bricks and that house is made of those bricks. Well, then there's this question: what makes the bricks different? And they're like, oh, well, these bricks are made of this clay, and those bricks are made of that clay. And you continuously go down this distinction route, right? And either this happens infinitely, which of course is you don't want an infinite regression because then you just never be able to explain why things are different. Or you say what hylomorphists say, which is you say that, oh, this thing is made of prime matter and that thing's made of prime matter. But why does this not work? Well, this doesn't work because prime matter is purely potent.
Yep.
It has no actuality. And importantly, it's indiscriminate because it's pure potency. It's indiscriminate. So there is no difference between the prime matter in my house over here and in a house over there. But if there's no difference in this fundamental material cause, then you can't explain the difference.
Wait, sorry.
Because that's what you use to explain the differences.
Yeah, could I just ask one question? Did you say that if the bricks were like different, as in like different bricks, or were they the same bricks? Or does it not matter and you can just ask the question?
Well, yeah, obviously the bricks in one house, so I'll call them house A and B.
Yeah.
Obviously the bricks in house A are different than house B. But in order for hylomorphism to explain how they're different, they explain the difference of A and B's bricks by referring to the material component of the bricks of A and B. But if you continue down this process of using the material component of things to make them different, eventually you have to appeal to prime matter. But prime matter can't distinguish A and B because prime matter is the same in A and B.
Yeah.
So that's one the problem with hylomorphism. It can't account for the identity of things, which is like the whole reason the theory is posited, right? So
that's very, very interesting. This could be really like I have two things to say. This first thing could be like very easy for like a hylomorphist to answer probably. But I was just thinking about it. When you have a house, right? And you've got the bricks, right, that make the structure of the house, sure. And then you've got maybe the roof in like a different sort of form and materials, like substance. You've got like the different you got like windows. Mm-hmm. Would a hylomorphist say that the house is one substance? If they do, this makes it really confusing for me because it seems like I could remove the roof and have like another substance now.
Oh yeah,
that's super weird to me as well.
Yeah, they think that they're so sometimes hylomorphism is called substance ontology.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a kind of substance ontology. And substance ontology is distinct from like I call it like part ontology. So the idea is that um, this, if you take all the different parts and you combine them,
Yeah.
is there, when you combine them all, is there something greater than just all the parts?
Yeah.
Like, does it create, is there emergence? Is another way of putting this?
Hmm.
Um, and Hylomorphists think yes, like there is in fact, like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And so, yeah, I mean, they might, they could endorse that the house is like distinct from like the roof and the bricks and the window. And then they would have to explain that like there are substances contained in the substances.
Yeah,
Like they're fine
exactly.
saying
That's
that.
what that's what I found weird, that there's a substance in the substance, but like you're saying it's just one substance, the house. But yeah, it just felt weird because you would also say like maybe the windows are a different substance, but that's part of the house. You know, you've said the house
And
is
even
the
yeah,
one substance.
and even if they and even if they say that, like still, like for hylomorphism, for the purpose of my critique, like the problem just happens again because then you just ask what makes the part of the house which is also a substance somehow distinct from the other substances in the other house, and you just get the same problem. So
Yeah, but your thing, your critique works for literally anything, right? Like you just pick out two completely random like substances, no?
yeah, yeah, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I use the two houses example
yeah.
because sometimes hylomorphists they say, oh well, what makes these two things different is their essence. Like, okay, it is true that this thing is a house, and maybe I'm like comparing a house and a horse. Oh, one thing's a house, one thing's a horse. Like the
Yeah.
forms make them different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Uh, but importantly for hylomorphism, um, there are no forms that just
Mm-hmm.
exist out there in the random world. There's always a form of a particular thing.
Yeah.
It's like you always need to appeal back to them. The whole criticism is about the doctrine of how matter distinguishes substances. And so that experiment, I just make them the same form to equalize for like the
Make them the same forms,
potential
yeah.
responses.
So then just go down the matter
Um,
route and yeah, that's really interesting.
Because yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say, like kind of recently, I've been thinking about like hylomorphism, and so when we differentiate me and you, for example, like we have the same form, obviously.
Uh huh.
Obviously we have like different matter, but the thing that's like, well, we have. It's so weird because I would say we have the same like essence, right? But there's something missing. There's something like that makes you you and makes me me that's different from just form and matter, I think. Because you could also just pick out like I don't know, like two like twins or something, or just like literally just identical people, but they just have like their own like first person conscious experience. Now I'm
Uh
really
huh.
confused because it seems like hylomorphism isn't really like picking out the individuals. Does that make sense? Like I just don't
Oh
see.
yeah, yeah.
But it's a problem like for
So
me just in general. I don't know how to get around it. I don't know what makes me actually me.
yeah, two things on that. So the first thing is that so metaphysicians after Aristotle
Hmm.
thought of this problem,
Yeah.
and they came up with they actually invented a property called hexaid
What's it?
um hex called hexaity.
Hexaity. Okay.
um Hexaity is essentially the uniqueness property of a
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
And yeah, and it sounds magical because it's made up. But um they're like, oh, everything's so different, like even if it has the same forms, like how do you explain that? It's like, oh, because this thing's hexaity is different than this other thing's hexaity. So this is
Yeah.
invented by like scholastic philosophers. It's like a genuine thing.
Okay.
um and there's different views about like how it works,
Hmm.
relating to form and matter. So that's one thing they would say. Now on personal identity specifically,
Hmm.
so there are different hylomorphic theories of personal identity.
Okay.
One of them is called hylomorphic animalism, and this is the most popular, to my understanding,
Okay.
personal identity view among hylomorphists. And the idea is like, well, a person is a combination of form and matter, like everything else. So the
Hmm.
matter is the body,
Yeah.
and the form is the soul.
Yep.
Now, how do you distinguish one thing as opposed to another? Well, they might say, and they do, that you have a different soul than me. Well, how does that work? Right? Because in some way, like we both have a rational form, but my rational form is
It's
different than
different
yours.
from mine. Yeah.
How do you, huh? So you then say, how do you explain the difference? a rational form in me. How do you explain how your rational soul, which is a
Mm-hmm.
form, is different than my rational soul?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what they say, right? They go, well, it's different because it informs, which is the verb that forms have to matter. Like they inform different matter. So like the matter distinguishes it, right? Like, oh, my soul is different than your soul because my soul interacts and animates my body as opposed to your body.
No,
But then
yeah,
hold on, but that doesn't work because this goes back to what makes my body different. Um,
exactly, yeah.
so
I
yeah,
don't,
I mean, I think hylomorphic theories have a bunch of problems relating to
but
just broadly and in personal identity.
is there like sure you? I think with non-person or not non-persons because animal like when we pick out like rocks or something, right? Someone could just say like these things are different due to their like spatial location. That's fine with me for these types of like objects, right? But when we refer to things with souls, and I don't know if it necessarily works with animal. I probably would. I haven't really thought about it that far, but with humans for sure. There's something that's making me a lot different to you. That's definitely not
Uh-huh.
just like my spatial location.
You know,
It's my
so
first
this is
person experience,
something.
but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So first thing is this. So spatial location cannot make something different,
Okay.
but it can be utilized to know that something is different. So for example, here's why. According to Aristotle
Mhm.
and the rest of people who follow this tradition, space is a relationship that substances have to other substances.
Yep.
So space is not like an intrinsic property; it's a way things relate.
Okay.
Um, so this is called the relational view of space. Um, and so, importantly, relationships depend on the things being related,
Yep.
right? Okay. So, in order for things to be related, they have to already be different, right? Or they couldn't be related to each other. And so, space cannot make them different. Space can be used to know that they're different, but metaphysically, it's not. It can't like make them different. Like it depends on
Yeah.
their being
I
different.
see what you're saying.
Um,
Hmm.
And so when you think about, to go back to your thing about, okay, well, maybe this works at the inanimate object or something. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think space works to distinguish inanimate objects and living things and people in the sense that it allows you to know that we're different. Like, obviously, the fact that we're at different places
Yeah.
in space, like that necessitates that we're different, but it
Mhm.
doesn't like metaphysically explain we're different. Um, so, I mean, if you're asking, then, well, then what do you think explains how we're different? Like, what explains our personal identity or things identity more broadly? Um, I I basically think that questions like what makes me different than you or what makes you different than other animals or something. Um, I think all of those questions are kind of they're all like relative to a particular goal. That might sound really broad, but like for example, when you ask me what makes you you,
Yeah.
I would ask as opposed to what. Like when you ask that, you're just asking what is different about me. Well, then what? Like what makes me different than non-animate things? Well, I'm living. Well, what makes you different than other living things? Well, I'm a human. Well, what makes you different than other humans? Like, well,
This is the main. Yeah. This
um,
one.
yeah, what makes me different than other humans? Well, for one, like what makes me different than other humans, like in what way? So there's like further question, like
Mhm.
what makes me different than other humans morally? Like, oh, I mean, I have this philosophy and they have those. And it's like, okay, what makes you different than other humans who have your philosophy? It's like, well, my philosophy is manifest in like this particular way. So, for example, like I'm productive. You might say that's a part of my philosophy. Like,
Mhm.
well, what makes you different than other productive people? It's like, well, my productivity takes the form of being a philosopher, and other people's might take the form of being a doctor. It's like, okay, what makes you
Yeah.
different than other productive philosophers? It's like, oh, like my lived experience stuff. But you see like the
But
basic strategy. Like when people ask like what makes you different, you just have to make clear on like as
yeah.
opposed to what.
But
Like, you know.
there's something weird that something's allowing me to be able to be like my own like what's the word, like, so I can have my own choices. So me and
Uh-huh.
you aren't making the exact same choices every single day and acting the exact same way. Something's making us distinct in that way. So I guess I'm talking about sort of like personality in the way, but also where it's kind of like getting formulated from.
Oh,
So
well,
that's really weird.
I mean, I think your ability to choose, so your volition
Yeah,
and your
volitional, yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think your volition and your consciousness are, um, yeah, I think your volition and your consciousness are um, emergent from your organism. And so what explains the difference between your volition and my volition is that my volition comes from my organism and yours comes from yours.
When you say organism, what do you necessarily mean there? Like, what do you mean by
Yeah,
organism?
like
Like,
I'm a Homo sapien and I'm a particular Homo sapien and you're a different Homo sapien.
yeah, but
And
there's.
my conscious ability comes from my activating of my powers and yours comes from yours.
Do you not find that weird? Like, I feel like sure you can like explain it that way, but then it seems weird to say that just because you were just like, y- just because you're a different like substance, that you just had like it just throws me off completely when I think about it. I don't even
Well,
know how to formulate it into words. I can't explain it.
yeah, I mean, I think it's just
It can't be
confusing
reduced. I
because,
don't think. I
well,
don't know if it's reducible. I don't know.
I think you have to make a distinction between something being reducible metaphysically versus something being reducible like kind of linguistically. So like for
Hmm.
example, when I say something like I see red, there's like the qualitative what it's likeness of looking at red.
Yeah.
So that's like the first person way of talking about what's happening. And then
Hmm.
there's like the third person way of being like my eyes activating in a particular way, right? Um and I think the personal identity stuff is the same. Like if you asked what are you? Well, there's like the what it's like to be you, which is talking about what you are from a first person perspective, and then there's like a what you are in a third person way, which is a different organism. And I think it's just
I
confusing because
think
sometimes people
I think
like
what
I'm
you.
not you,
Yeah. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say like it's just because but you can talk about the same thing from two different perspectives.
Yeah, I agree. I think the third person way I'm fine with. The first person way I'm not fine with. Like the third person way I can
And
sort of maybe get
mhm.
around. Like because I are you sort of like saying that in the third person way we're talking about like metaphysics at that point because we're kind of like in yeah like I feel like it's a lot different. But like in the first person experience and how that's different and
Yeah,
why that's different to
I mean,
yours.
this answer might be unsatisfactory, but um, what makes from a first person perspective, what's different about me and you is the fact that I am me and you're not.
Yeah, like.
um, I mean, like that. I mean, so it's like asking me like,
But like,
uh,
what's making us different? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, why think that something needs to make you different?
Because it seems very like clear and distinct in reality that we are different.
No, no, you know you are different. I grant that you're
Oh,
different,
sorry,
but
sorry.
why?
What
I
did
mean,
you say?
why think that you need to be made different?
Why do you think that I need to be made different? I don't
Why
think
not just think that you simply are? Why not take the difference as a brute fact?
I don't. Wait, a brute fact just means like there's no explanation though, right? Like I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't.
The explanation simply is that you are different.
But then I don't think that's an explanation. Then I don't know if like.
Yeah. I mean, at some level, I don't even think you need to. I think I'm completely fine with
But
accepting the difference of things
are you
as a
not
fundamental
like
fact.
curious? Like, are you not like there's gotta be some answer that we just don't like know
Well,
of
I
us?
mean, because the thing is, I can name differences between me and you. It's like we are different, and I can identify some of the differences.
But when I say the difference, I'm
Yeah.
I'm purely focused on like our first person experience and why that's different. I'm sure we have like
Well,
facial
when you
differences
say
and things like this. That's
what
fine, but
what I mean, our first person experiences are just like remember. I think consciousness is an activity performed by an organism. It's like something the organism uses. They use their powers and stuff to do
okay.
that.
I have another question then. So if it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
using your conscious experience comes from the activity from your organism, then how the hell have we not? Because it seems very possible that you would just get. Wait, so hang on. Something else just popped up. So like you think that because every human is just distinct, like there's obviously like I guess you can have like like twins and stuff, but they're still like distinct in a way. I don't know when
Uh-huh.
you say distinct as well, distinct organism. Are you how are you just how are you making them distinct? Because you said yeah,
Distinct just means they're not identical.
yeah, but in a way of like, so say they're like twins, yeah.
Hmm.
What would you say there? Like, what is making them like distinct? Just because you can say
Well,
there's like
for
two
one, they have
organisms, but
different. Well, for one, they're made of different stuff, right?
am I getting
They're
completely
arranged
lost
in
here?
different ways.
Maybe
No, so this is the thing. I mean, this took me a long time to think about too, because
I might just be lost, genuinely. Like, it might just be my fault here.
no, I think it's actually a result of Aristotelian metaphysics, like training people to think this way. But I actually just think that the fact that things are different is a brute, unanalyzable fact, and like philosophers try to get underneath the differences, and like, yeah,
Mhm.
but what makes the differences different? And it's just it's already like a failed attempt. Like I think things simply are different,
But
and you can
there's got to
ask
be a
and isolate.
reason for the difference, though, isn't that?
But
Like,
what is it? What is an explanation?
I don't know, and I wish I knew the explanation.
See, no, no, but
Difference.
what is an explanation? Like when you ask for an explanation, what are you asking for?
Um, I want something that is describing just something different about me than you. Like when we talk
Well, I
about the
mean,
first
I
person.
can name some differences. I can name some
Okay,
differences.
okay, go, go, go.
You experience from a position in space that I'm not experiencing from.
I thought we can't use that in like. I thought you said when we referred to
But
space.
that is a difference, though. But that's not a metaphysical explanation. But that is a difference.
Okay, so it's a difference that I'm experiencing in a different spatial location. But the thing that I want to know is the experience. Why am I having a different experience to you? Not in the way of like when I say experience there, I'm not saying like I'm actually saying that I'm like aware of my state and everything like this. But it's like different to yours,
Mhm.
not in the way of like yes, I'm aware that I'm in or not aware, but I'm experiencing in a different place to you. Like I actually just have my own like thoughts, my own like it's so like it's so weird to
I mean,
me.
for one, you have a different history, which your thoughts are built off of than I do.
But let's say we this is also another thing. If me and you were built up the exact same way, the exact same thing, we would still be different. There would still be a difference.
Well, yeah, but because you're stipulating we're different.
What do you mean? Like
You say me and you're
n-
building into the hypothetical that we're different.
no okay, so with the analogy, I mean that when we let's say we were literally brought up the exact same way. There was no difference in our history. Yeah.
When you say that, are
Hmm.
we? You say me and you mean like there's two things?
Yes, there is two things. I agree. There's two
Well, that makes us
things.
different, right?
Yes, like in a way, if we talk about substance matter, I agree we can be different. Sure. The first person
Okay.
experience is weird. That's where
But
mhm.
when you say the first person experience, what do you mean?
Like I'm talking and you're not right now.
Yeah, but I mean, so when I think about something, do you think about it too?
No.
Right. So the thinking is localized to the organism. So the difference is the organism performing the activity. What organism is performing the activity makes it different.
Let me think. It's so no because the thing that I think makes us different. I'm trying to word this. The thing that I think makes us actually different. Sure, you can like pick out the matter and everything, sure. But the thing that I think actually makes us different is this first person experience. Yeah?
Yeah, but you have to when you say different, there's always a qualified different in what sense? Because are you trying to look for hexaity or are you looking for a
Distinct.
difference among a particular? So think about it like this, right?
Yeah.
The question, what makes me different than everything else in the universe, is different than what makes me different than you.
Yeah.
So the
Okay, different
one
from
is
other
one, yeah,
humans. Yeah. Like I just mean just generally like
yeah.
humans. Like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the basic answer is what makes me different than other people is my experiences.
Really? So if you okay, I got a question. Like, if you think another human, right, genuinely just have the exact same experiences as you, the exact same history, the exact same events, yeah, they'd be the same like person as you. Like I don't
Well, I mean,
understand how
like,
to word it, but they can
so
be
think about like if
distinct as
two,
like
like for example,
substances. But yeah.
there might be. Well, yeah, right. So I think the difference is, I think experiences
Hmm.
are in part distinguished by their substances that experience. So they can't be me unless they are me.
If someone said, "What are you?" Like, what is your answer to that? Like, what makes you you? Just
I'm a human being.
wait, but I'm also a human being though.
But it depends. It depends on what way in which you're asking. Like, what makes me different than you? My values, my purposes in life.
And then the reason you have different values and different purposes in life is just because of the
I
way
thought differently. Yeah,
and the ability to think differently comes from
it's determined my substance,
substance.
my
Okay,
choices.
so it all just comes back to just being a different substance. But just being a different
Yeah,
substance allows you. What is it that makes you a different substance? Gives you this ability. That is so weird to me. That I've just
well,
got.
because remember, I think so. Me and you have the same capacity
Hmm.
in to think. It's like we're both humans. Our humanity makes us have the same capacity.
Yeah,
But I use my capacity differently and I use it in different contexts. And that's what makes my experience different than yours.
but it just seems weird that you have the ability to do differently than me. There, because we
Well,
are the
I
same.
believe free will exists
Yeah, I guess. So, do you hang on? Do you believe in a soul? Do you think we have a soul?
in like a very secular way. I think that, but I don't mean that in like a mystical way.
Well, okay. Like, what would you if you had to just like cash out? Like, I guess what you mean by soul, just so I
Yeah,
can
by
maybe
soul I
understand.
just mean I think you have like a conceptual
Mhm.
rational consciousness that has
Okay.
like complex emotions and yeah.
And do you think consciousness is like explained by just like um just atoms? You know what I mean? Just bumping around in a particular way.
I think consciousness is a complex emergent feature of a physical process. Yeah.
Interesting. So, could there be a case where if someone had like the exact wait, so hmm. Okay, there's just too many questions here. I guess I'm just too
Or
curious. Personal identity is really. I just have to look into it more. I'm just really like confused.
sure, yeah.
But so what do you think makes you not makes you you? So you don't take like because obviously in hylomorphism the form is like what makes you you specifically, and you don't take on that
Well, the
or
matter
the
actually
soul
makes you you.
or the soul like
The matter, yeah.
the
But the
soul.
matter makes your soul different.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. The soul is like actualizing that. So what would you say that where you differentiate there? Because I guess I just see
Yeah, I
it in that
mean,
way. Like I guess.
I don't. So hylomorphic
Do,
theories of personal identity
I should have just asked you. Do you
presuppose
think like
hylomorphism.
actin potency is true? Like,
Um, I'm not a potency realist, but I mean, here's my basic view of all of the different Aristotelian metaphysical doctrines like act and potency,
yeah.
matter and form. Um, I basically think that Aristotle and the consequent scholars afterwards
Hmm.
treat those things as metaphysical when they're really epistemological. So, for an example of that is like, I don't think that potential is a mode of being. Like, I don't think so. For example, if I say my Dr Pepper, that's a really good American beverage. I don't think my Dr Pepper right now it's really cold. Like I'm looking at it, it's actually really cold.
Yeah.
Um, so I might say it's potentially hot. I
Yeah.
don't think that there's this property that my cup possesses called hotness, which exists in the mode of potential. I don't
Okay.
think that's right. That's how you. That's that. Like, so I'm not a potency realist, right?
Hmm.
But I think that my cup is of the nature such that under certain conditions it realizes the capacity it had to be hot. So I think potential is like a useful concept, but I don't think potential is like a thing in the world in like this robust way. Same thing for the term essence. Like when I say I'm essentially human, I don't think there's like a substantial form that's like, you know, organizing my being or something. I just think the term essence means like the most distinguishing characteristic according to my body of knowledge. It's like a conceptual thing, not a metaphysical thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Um, so
Just a concept. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think I understand. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to, I guess this kind of answers the next question. I wanted to go on sort of Aquinas' five ways and atheism while you're an atheist. Um, but you kind of just because Aquinas is an essentialist, like he believes essences are actual
mhm.
thing. So you just disagree with him there, anyways. But what do you think about his argument from motion? What do you think about that? Oh, I guess we
um,
kind of sort of went
eh,
through it actually, but
yeah, I'm not really convinced of any of the five ways. Yeah, I mean, for one, I yeah, so I don't believe that you could describe change using active potency if you take active potency to be like those
yeah,
robust metaphysical way. Also, his view of change takes a hylomorphic view of change, and I'm not a hylomorphist
yeah, true,
person, so
yeah. Okay, so what
that's
he?
kind of my basic
Mm,
that's my basic problem with all the five ways is that it takes for granted the Aristotelian
yes,
metaphysics.
yeah, 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 we kind of went through that. So what do you think if you had to like explain like changes, or what do you think like changes then? Like what's
I mean,
going on? Hmm.
I think change is just um it's just the identity of something
Hmm.
uh differing. It's just like I mean, I think in a way change is kind of not observable, but or sorry, it's in a way change the definition of change is not really you can't really give a definition of change. But yeah, you can say something like it's when a thing becomes something different.
But like
I just
then I
think
have
it's
the question of like
I don't think
how
it needs
does
to be
it?
defined.
Yeah, but then you have to explain like how that thing undergoes like what actually change
Oh,
is there because like
I can
observable.
explain that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, so a change is when a change happens when a thing exerts its identity in a particular way. So for example, like growth is a kind of change. So like when growth occurs, you have this thing which is I'll say a plant,
Hmm.
and the plant exerts its identity as a plant, and it realizes certain capacities, like photosynthesis. And upon the realizing the capacity of photosynthesis, it exerts energy, and so the energy is used. And now what's now different about the plant is the amount of energy it has, right? So it exerted its identity, and as a result of exerting its identity and
Hmm.
undergoing a certain process, it's now different than it was prior to doing that.
Interesting.
So what explains changes are what a thing is.
Hmm. But that's sort of like what active potency does in a way. Obviously, it goes.
Yeah, it
It's
is like what it
sort of
does.
like yeah, sort of like a linguistic like difference. That's sort of. I guess I maybe.
I'm okay with saying change is the actualization of potential, but it's just important to understand that
Mhm.
I'm not using actual and potential in robust metaphysical ways like Aristotelians usually are.
Okay, but when someone says in like a metaphysical way the plant has like the potential to grow,
Uh-huh.
you would cash it out differently, but you would just say like it just has these abilities that are like realized. Like so it's just kind of like
Uh-huh.
is it not just the same kind of the same thing though?
Well, it's just because of the way
Because
the technical term, I think the metaphysical status of potential
yeah,
is not real,
but
but
you
I think
think
it's a
that the
conceptual device.
identity holds the potential. Like I don't understand. I guess how it differentiates because
Because again, I don't think that I think the concept I think potential when I say something has the potential,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not as if there's this property that it has that exists in some other mode of being. I'm just utilizing my knowledge of the thing that exists and saying that it has the capacity to be different if it undergoes certain processes. I'm not like creating a
Maybe
mode of being.
what do you mean by mode of being? Because maybe I just wasn't understanding active potency to like the way that they were using it. And
Mode of being means a way in which something exists.
wait, what? But then
That's
okay,
what the term mode of being means.
In the way that
And the idea is
something
that things
exists.
can either exist in the actual mode or the potential mode.
And you disagree with this.
Yeah,
That's
I don't think like the hotness of my
yeah.
I don't think the hotness of my cup is offline or something. I just think it's not real.
Okay. I mean, I have to look into like I guess I have to think about it a bit more. Um, okay. Yeah. I get the next question was why are you an atheist and have you always been an atheist?
um, yeah, I have been an atheist forever and ever.
Yeah. Okay.
um, yeah, I've been an atheist forever. Um, why have I been an atheist? Well, long story short, I think it's magic. Um, I mean, I mean, I can get technical and stuff, but yeah, I mean, the basic idea is I think it's magic. I've never
Magic.
in my entire life ever been convinced of anything said by a theist. I think I don't even, I kind of get shit for my friends on this, but I just like don't even know if it's like even intelligible, like what theism is to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think the arguments for it usually presuppose some voodoo. Um, I think when people try to define what God is to me, it's either meaningless,
Mm-hmm.
it's unintelligible, or it's just like obviously something that does not exist.
Okay.
Um, so that's basically why I have been an atheist forever. And that's kind of why I'm an atheist.
Do you not think Aquinas gives like a good account? Like obviously you disagree with his like, it's still like sort of intelligible the way he's kept down. Like.
Well, I mean, I don't really think it's, well, okay. So there's degrees to intelligibility, right? So like, so
Mm-hmm.
for example, here's a good idea. Um, so it makes more sense to say that a square circle is red than to say a square circle is a car.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now both of those are impossible, but like one made more sense. So
I
it had like
agree.
it
Yeah.
made more sense because it had like a semblance of like, okay, shapes can be a color, but like shapes can be a car. Like what?
Yeah.
Okay. So same thing with Aristotle and with Aquinas and all the other Thomists.
Oh,
So
you started
to
lagging.
some extent,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
sorry, yeah,
Yeah. You're fine.
it's the same thing with these other kind of conceptions of God. Like to some extent, I can say, yeah, I mean, they're utilizing concepts that do have like a rational application in some context, like act and potency and change and fundamental and unmoved and all this
Yeah.
other shit. Um, but within the context, it doesn't make sense. So within the context, the full context, when you're aware of everything about the meaning of the term in that context, it becomes unintelligible. So, uh, yeah, I mean, I think if you take for granted certain metaphysical premises that I
Mm-hmm.
reject, I think Aristotle's proof for God makes a lot of sense, and the developments from Aquinas make sense insofar as you accept them too. I just don't accept the metaphysical foundations that enable you to make arguments like that and then be successful.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. What do you think about? Because I forgot to ask. Like when, so Aquinas obviously makes a distinction between like essence and existence. Um,
Yeah.
like, do you think that? What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Like,
like what I said earlier, I think essence is not
oh yeah, of
metaphysical.
course. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, my bad. I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, but more specific to the essence existence distinction,
Yeah.
like Aquinas tries to separate a thing's existing and the way in which it exists.
Yeah.
And I think that the separation is conceptual, not metaphysical, and he thinks it's metaphysical.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the problem.
Yeah. I'll have to. Yeah. I'll definitely have to like look back into like all this after this. Because I guess I'm just kind of confused on some of the terms and the way in which I was understanding them before. I guess.
Mhm.
But okay, so like heading back into sort of ethics, what are your thoughts on abortion and veganism as well?
Yeah, I'm very pro-choice, and I'm
Pro-choice, yeah.
not a vegan.
Okay.
So I'll start with abortion.
Hmm.
This is the topic I usually debate.
Yeah.
There's basically two dimensions to the abortion issue. So there's the moral issue, which is are abortions moral? Um, and then there's a second dimension, which is should abortions be legal? So it's like the political and then the ethical issue. Um, on the moral issue, like the ethical issue, I do think abortions have the capacity to be done morally. What I mean by that is it's not as if getting an abortion, oftentimes people think about abortion as like it's either good or it's either bad,
Hmm.
or it's only good in these circumstances, or it's only okay in some. Uh, I'm a virtue ethicist, so it's not that simple for me, right? Like
Yeah,
somebody could be getting an abortion at the same period of time as in pregnancy as another person, but like if their reasons are different, it's not good.
exactly. Yeah.
So let me give an example of a moral prerogative, like when abortions would be good.
Yeah.
So it's the first trimester. You're a woman. You went to a frat party as one does, and you just got you hooked up with the wrong guy. You wake up in the morning like, God, I regret that shit. You don't even know his name, right? You like walk home in his shirt back to your apartment. And a couple weeks later, you start like getting a headache, you throw up, you take a test, like, holy shit, I got pregnant from that guy at the party. And then you're like, damn, like I'm a hardworking, ambitious woman. Like I got my school and then I low-key have my career. I'm broke.
Hmm.
Like I don't even know this guy. I'm sure he'd be a terrible father. Like I don't want to get pregnant now. I want to get pregnant with like someone I love. And you have all these reasons. And then you think you're like, wow, like my life would objectively be worse off if I if I gave birth to this child.
Hmm.
Um, and so you're like, yeah, I mean, low key, because it's worse for me, because I want my life to be better and I want to preserve the future I've built for myself, like I'm gonna get an abortion.
Hmm.
Now, in my view, that's moral. In my view, that's a moral thing to do. And
Yeah.
there's explanations of why and how to respond to certain arguments. But that's a moral abortion. And so when I say I'm pro-abortion, it's like I'm pro-abortion the same way I'm like, I don't know, pro-college. Like it's not as if college is like good for everybody. Like it has to be in the right circumstances. So like, yeah, I mean, I think abortion is not like by its nature immoral, and I think that if somebody approaches it rationally, it can be a good decision. So that's my view on the moral issue.
Okay. So I have a few questions because when does like things have like moral value? Because obviously you would say the fetus does not have like moral value, right? It's not even taken
Well,
into like consideration there.
yeah, I actually don't. I wouldn't say that. I
Okay.
actually have an article on my Substack. It's titled um, "On Prosentience," and a bit essentially it's an argument about prosentience, and it starts out with like a general critique of like how people usually think about the issue of abortion.
Yeah.
And my basic thing is this: I think the terms moral value and moral consideration are used too vaguely. And I don't think they're actually the way that people usually use them is very helpful. So, for example, is the fetus being considered?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
actually why I'm getting an abortion. I'm getting an abortion because I'm
Hmm.
getting an abortion because when I consider it, I'm like, damn, my life sucks. Um, if I don't do this, so it's being considered. And you might ask, is it being morally considered? Like, as opposed to non-morally considered, like what does that mean? Like am I considering it as a person? That might be a plausible interpretation of what you're saying. Okay, no. Well, why not? Because they're not people. Like okay, or you might say, am I considering them as something which is wrong to kill? So it's not even just about like
Hmm.
its nature, it's about like the normative implications of what it is. Like is it being
Yeah.
considered in this way? And this is like, no, I'm pro-choice. Of course I don't think that. So I mean, like the questions are either too vague, or they're like their answers are like contained in the question, and it
Yeah.
doesn't really progress the thing. So yeah, the fetus is valuable, to clarify.
Valuable. Okay.
It's valuable in some way. So it's valuable in some ways and not in others. Like for example, when I get if this woman gave birth to her child, guess what? The economy gets another worker, right? The economy gets another worker.
Right.
A family of Mormons could potentially adopt this child and have it as their seventh child. Um, like there's many potential applications of the child to make
Yeah.
people's life better.
Yeah.
But the in some ways, it's actually very not valuable. It's like disvaluable in the ways I kind of alluded to earlier. So yeah, it has value, but it also has disvalue.
Okay. And then what about like, do you take the fetus's life into consideration? I know it's not like an agent or it can't
Yeah,
like
I'm considering his life. I'm like, damn, if this thing continues to live, like my life gets worse.
Okay,
I am
but
considering it.
what about
Okay,
what about the fetus's life though? Because that fetus is that their
you got it.
life's getting considerably worse and it's like irreducible. Oh, not
Yeah, no, yeah,
irreducible.
it needs to.
Yeah, it can't come
Yeah, its
back up
life,
to yeah.
its life necessarily trades off with the life of the mother in
Hmm.
this case that you gave.
Hmm.
And so yeah, the woman's like, damn, like if this fetus continues to live, like my life is over, so it's got to go.
Okay. Okay. And when does it is there a stage that you're like, okay, it's like wrong to kill it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Was
couple different
and
stages and
then
reasons.
and
So
then why would that
it's all
be?
circumstantial. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Like I said, it's all circumstantial. So for example, let's say it's like the third trimester, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just think about how we got in this situation, right? Like you've known you're pregnant for months, literally months. So, like to clarify this, like most women find out they're pregnant within the first trimester,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Like 8 weeks, or not even like
Not even,
a
yeah.
month in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 fucking weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. So you've had this in you for literally like at least 6 months. No, knowingly had it in you for 6 months.
Hmm.
It's like at that point, it's like, are you choosing to have a child? Like, I don't like. You had like 6 months of contemplating. Like, I mean, I think women should figure this out in a week max, right? Like, there's no, it should not take this long.
Hmm.
Um. Anyway, yeah. So, like, so
Yeah.
if you're at the third trimester of pregnancy, you have to ask the question, like, why are you still pregnant if you don't want the child? I mean, that's like a real thing.
Yeah.
Now, okay, someone might say, so then if somebody asks me, like, is it okay to get an abortion? It's like, well, I'm just like not even clear about what they're meant. Like, did they just like evade the fact they're pregnant for like 6 months, for half a year? Like, okay, this person doesn't even sound like a rational person. Like, okay,
Hmm.
maybe they did, and maybe let's be charitable. They're like, I don't know, they were being really fucking stupid. They were like, they had a lot on their mind or whatever.
Yeah.
And finally, they're like, damn, like I'm about to give birth. Like that's crazy, bro. I mean, low key, I don't even know if there's much you can do at that period of time. Like, I think if you're in the third trimester of pregnancy, you should just give birth to it, bro. I mean, like, obviously, you're not going to be a parent to the God. You should not be a fucking child to the parent if you were like agnostic about getting an abortion for 6 months of its life inside of you. Like there's no reason you should be a parent. Maybe unless again you had like a miraculous turnaround or something. So I mean, I think you should just give it up for adoption because honestly, you've been through pregnancy now. Like you're not even like avoiding anything. Like the whole
Yeah.
reason to not, the whole reason to get the abortion was because it was like affecting your life. Like
So
obviously it's not affecting your life if you're like 6 months ignorant to it. Like
so I have a question. Is it never sort of like about the fetus? Because it seems like it's
I mean, it's about it in like a indirect way. Like it's about the mother's life. You gotta
indirect,
understand, I'm an
sure.
egoist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an egoist. So it's always about your life. It's always about like what makes me better off. Um,
Oh, okay. And then just because it's attached to the mother, it's the mother's like obvious. Okay. I think yeah.
yeah.
All right. So um I feel like I should have more questions about this. So let's say so they can get the abortion
Yeah,
whenever though, right?
you'll
Like
point out.
even if
Yeah, it's legally. You're talking about legally, right?
no, like morally in your view, they can just, get the abortion whenever.
Well, no. I mean, like if you got an abortion because the baby was black, that'd be immoral.
Okay. Okay. And then
You
I'm
remember I'm
just
very
interested.
this, so it's not. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just interested into how you would like say that would be wrong. Just obviously, like I think so too, but I
Because
just
it's
want to hear.
racist.
And then okay, but how, as a virtue ethicist, how would you? Because you would say that well, that just not developing virtues in a way that's like
Yeah, I mean, I would
unjust. I
say
guess
racism's. Yeah, you can say
unjust.
it's unjust. You can say it's irrational. So yeah, like I think rationality is a virtue.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
you're making a decision on the basis of something stupid. Like that's irrational. Like if you got an abortion because you thought getting an abortion, you thought somehow that getting an abortion would further would like um, okay,
Do you
let me get
think?
an example. If you got an abortion because like you thought somehow that by getting an abortion you would make yourself more desirable to alternative goth women who are pro-choice and pro-abortion, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing it so that goth women think you're more attractive.
Yeah.
That's immoral. And that's immoral because your self-esteem is based entirely, your decision making is entirely based on conforming to goth women. That's immoral. Like you should have a spine and like make your own independent, you're not being independent. So there's like a
Okay.
variety of reasons it can be wrong. Like it's about what your motives are and why you're doing it.
Yeah, I understand. I think like I just don't know. There's something about like virtue ethics and everything that just seems like it's like such a gray area. it seems like it can be so easily like flipped the other way. Does that make sense? Like the
Yeah, I mean, there's
action could
sometimes like
just be
criticism
just
against it.
yeah, like the action can just be flipped the other way if you can just find like somehow like I just feel like it's really like not strict. Does that make
I
sense?
mean, yeah, but that's a feature, not a bug. So like, for example,
Hmm.
how does a deontologist, which is usually how people think about this issue, like it's permissible or impermissible, right?
Yeah.
How does a deontologist explain what career you should have? I have no idea how they would confront that problem. I have no idea. But a virtue ethicist is very well could, because virtue ethics are about taking moral principles and then applying them to your day-to-day life and seeing how do these virtues manifest in your life, right? How does manifesting justice look like in your life? How does manifesting your career look for you? So I mean, it's not actually I think that's actually a strength of the theory, the fact that it's able to kind of conform to a bunch of different circumstances.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like examples. I just can't really think of like any examples.
So yeah, so for example, imagine you get an abortion because like I said, imagine you do it because you're racist. And you're like,
Hmm.
oh damn, I cannot let another black person into society. Like I have to get an abortion. Well,
Hmm.
that's wrong because it requires acting on the basis of racism.
Yeah, but then
Uh,
it could be the case that they could just. I guess this is kind of flipping it a little bit, but they could just they could get it because they're like internally racist, and then they could just like kind of justify it in terms of virtue ethics by just saying like, "Oh, my life's gonna be better off." Does that make sense?
yeah, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it because their life's better off. They're doing it because the baby's black. So
Hmm.
this is the thing. So this is actually an argument you're giving. Like, this is against the ontology. So so kind of a little history lesson with the ontology, right?
Hmm.
So Kant thought that the only thing that made actions good or bad was having a good will.
Okay.
That's all he thought made actions being intending well.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you cannot know somebody's intentions.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
That's according to you can't know. So what deontology does is deontology, it lays out certain actions which are impossible for somebody with a good will to perform, and some
Hmm.
actions which are necessary for people with a good will to perform. So that it's not as if you're saying this action is a good action. You're just saying it's like consistent with having a good will. Not that it is a good action, just that it's capable of being good. Um, and so, but then of course, like if somebody, for example, being racist might be consistent with some duties you have according to Kant, but it's still wrong because of the will. And the whole point is just because it's permissible doesn't make it good. And that's my whole thing. Like I'm a virtuoso. I don't think in that way. I think like if you make a decision and the decision is because you do it because you're racist, like that was your reason why, it's wrong. Now, a person who is racist, right? Let's suppose they find out they're pregnant, right? And they're like, oh shit, I got impregnated by a black man. And they
Hmm.
were originally going to go down to the abortion clinic and they were going to get an abortion because the kid was black. And they're going outside the abortion clinic. And then what happens? They actually meet outside of the Planned Parenthood Barack Obama. And Barack Obama looks at them and they explain to them, like, look, like, why are you getting an abortion? He's like, let me be clear, why are you getting an abortion? Whatever. And the person getting an abortion, the woman is like, I'm getting it because it's black. No, what Obama does, he successfully delivers an argument proving why racism is immoral. And the woman is convinced. She's like, oh my God, you're right, Obama. Barack, racism might be immoral. And you know what she's just like, damn, do I get the abortion still? And then she thinks about it. She's like, wait, okay, low key, my life is better off with getting the abortion because like the finances and the career or whatever. So then she changes her mind and she gets an abortion. Now, had she had not listened to Barack and got the abortion because the kid was black, it would have been immoral because it's based on racism. But because she's doing it on the grounds of, oh yeah, like low key, it is making my life better off, whatever, then the action's morally good. It's praiseworthy, actually.
So
So,
yeah. So it's just
yeah.
like never based off the action. It's always the intention.
Well, it's I can't say it's never based on the action because some intentions are inconsistent with certain actions and
Might have
vice
to
versa.
lay that out with me.
Yeah. So, for example, I don't think you can be like an honest murderer, right? I think murdering necessitates a certain kind of intention. It
Okay,
necessitates a
interesting.
certain kind of evasion. I don't think you can. I also don't think you can be an evil. I don't think you can be like an evil, um, a successful romantic partner and be evil. Like I don't think evil people can successfully like have a good romance.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
so there's certain actions which are inconsistent with certain intentions. So
But like, if the intention, okay, yeah, I think I understand what you mean. Yeah, but like, is it so? Trying to figure out how to word it. So with the person who's like evil, wait, you said so it's just like not possible for them to be evil and have a successful relationship.
yeah, like
But
yeah, that's right.
when you say like evil, did what did they have to do to like be like evil? Does that make sense? Like what would
Yeah,
they?
like be super irrational, like hate people for being productive,
Okay,
be racist. Yeah, there's a variety of evils.
but they all just stem from like intentions, though, right? Like, or you know what I
Um,
mean?
I mean, I think her character is based largely intention based. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's what I was trying to. Yeah, you worded it better than me. Yeah. Okay, and then also, oh yeah, with veganism. So you think that it's fine, like to kill animals, and eat them,
Yeah, it depends on the purpose, right?
but then
But yeah,
when,
I mean,
but
yeah,
let's say like I just like stomped on a pig.
for fun.
For let's say I took it for the sensory pleasure, um, that I like
Mm.
the squealing of the pig when I stomp on it. Have I done something
So
wrong?
yeah, I do think so, and it's important because you're not deriving pleasure from the sensation. You're deriving pleasure from the conceptualization of the pig,
I don't
because
I don't know
the
what that
sensation
means.
would be like, so yeah. So for example, the sensation is just like the way it sounds.
Yeah,
So like for example, like a back massage. You don't have to be thinking to like to enjoy a back massage.
yeah, I
To
agree.
enjoy
Yeah,
a pig squealing, like listening to a pig and then hearing a pig, like if you asked ChatGPT, like make a pig squeal, right?
hmm
Um, if you just liked the way it sounded, in the same way you like a back massage or something, like okay, that's not what's happening with the pig squeal. Like usually when you like things like the pig squeal, you like it because of the way you think about like, oh, like I'm inflicting pain. You like the actual like uh effect of the pig. You like the fact that the pig, you're deriving pleasure from like realizing the pain is being caused in the pig. You like the way, you like the fact that pain is being inflicted. So it's not just like a sensation, it's like a pleasure you get from understanding it. You somehow like something about it. It's like more, it's like it requires some thought process. Right. Um,
Wait, but like I don't even think so because imagine this. Like imagine would it still be the case in this example that you're like what you're saying follows? Imagine like I pay someone to do the stomping on the pig and then they play the audio through a phone.
yeah, but would you like this? So we'll put it this way. Do you
Yeah.
like the way that, would you like the way it sounds
hmm
if you didn't recognize that the pig was in pain, that there was a pig, right?
Yeah, let's say yes.
No.
Well,
Oh,
let's
okay.
say
So this is like ASMR.
yeah, like yeah, I guess yeah. You just like the satisfaction you
Oh,
get from the
but
noise.
it's not okay. So it has nothing to do with pig torture.
Well, no, like committing the pig torture is just the way that they
Yeah.
get the
Okay.
noise.
Yeah. Yeah. But it could plausibly, you could plausibly just, so the goal here is just like some, it's like ASMR. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Um,
Sensory pleasure
yeah.
is
Then the
it.
question is, what is, yeah. So then the question is, what is the, what are the best ways to gain sensory pleasure? Um, I think there are much better ways to gain sensory pleasure than by torturing a pig.
Oh, so
I also think,
this is interesting though because surely in the meat example, like there's better ways to gain nutrition,
well, I
or
don't think the
there's better
goal of food
mhm,
is, yeah, I mean, I
instead
think
of the
part of the
taste
goal of food
pleasure.
is
You know what I
nutrition.
mean? Like
Yeah, well, actually, I don't, I don't really think so.
really?
I
Like I
actually
think
think
the
that,
only reason
yeah, I think
people
most,
mhm. I was gonna say
I think most meat alternatives suck.
I think the only reason people eat meat mostly is just because of the taste. Like I don't think they
No, no, yeah, I agree.
necessarily. Sure, there's going to be some people who eat it for like nutritional benefits, like
But it's
but
not just that.
even yeah,
It's,
of course, I think it's like mostly off like like the
But
taste and the sensory pleasure.
it's not just taste simpliciter. It's taste coupled with convenience.
Okay, get rid of convenience. Like imagine it's literally perfectly convenient for you to
Oh
get like
yeah.
a
So
plant-based
let me
option.
frame this. Let me frame this another way, right?
Okay.
Imagine I'm in heaven. So I die, God exists. Somehow it's
Yeah.
unintelligible. Ed Frazier was right. Um, and
Yeah.
I'm in heaven because I'm an atheist and universalism is true if God existed. So I'm in heaven. And
Yeah.
here I am, and I go to my first heavenly restaurant. I sit next to Jesus Christ, and Jesus orders whatever. I look at the menu. I'm like, holy shit, is there meat on the menu? No, I don't think there'd be meat in heaven. And so, but why though, right?
Mhm.
Well, because if you just stipulate that the only difference between the meat alternative and the meat is needless suffering
Yeah.
or suffering, and
I
it's by
agree.
definition needless, right? It's by definition needless. So I actually think, yeah, I think in the Garden of Eden, I think in
Yeah.
heaven, yeah, in heaven there are no animals being suffered, but my ethics apply to the real world, right? And the
But
here's
shit.
the this is why convenience doesn't. This is why convenience is like a real thing. Like I don't think that the convenience. I think the convenience is a very considerable factor in choosing your diet.
I agree. If you're saying convenient, I don't know when you say convenience. I don't know if you're talking about price. I don't know if you're talking about like how
Yeah,
hard it
part of
is
its
to be
price.
nutritious
Yeah,
on a plant-based
it's part
diet.
of its price, part of its availability.
But let's
Part
say,
of it is
mhm.
to clarify.
Can I give you like a hypothetical where you walk into the
Sure.
supermarket, right? And there's like there's meat on the shelf that's like literally the exact same price as like a plant-based version of the meat. You sure
Uh huh.
there is a sensory there's a different taste you get. You can make the meat the
Like it's
plant-based.
objectively worse
Yeah, the plant-based is objectively worse. It tastes awful.
as it is. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not eating it, bro. Yeah, I've already ruled it out. Yeah.
See, like that's where I'm lost now. It just
Why? I'm an
because
egoist. It's better for me.
better for you sensory wise.
Well, it's not.
Yeah,
Well, this
because
is
I
the thing. It's
stipulated in the
humans.
hypothetical that it's
It's not
perfectly
just.
as healthy as the other. So it's
Well,
only
it's not
sense.
just about health. It's about the. Well, taste is not merely sensation. So part of
What?
the I'll say
Really?
yeah, yeah. So I'll put it this way. The value of the taste of something is not merely sensation; it's also aesthetic. So, for
What?
example,
Aesthetic?
yeah, I
Like,
yeah, I'll give you an example. So, for example, when I eat, when I go to Gordon Ramsay's Michelin star restaurant, right,
mhm.
and I eat the filet mignon that he prepares, right.
Yep.
I'm not just enjoying the sensation of the food, like because it tastes good.
Yeah.
I'm also because of the joy that I'm or because of the sensory pleasure, I also have a conscious, cognitive
Mhm.
kind of pleasure. And I go, wow, life is so awesome. I worked so hard and I achieved this yummy, tasty food. So now I not only do I have the sensory level of pleasure, I also have this aesthetic understanding like, oh, my life is like a dream. It's just so yummy. I can't believe I'm living in a world of my own creation where I get to enjoy this. Like I'm so, it's a further conceptual aesthetic experience
But it's
on
just
top of
sensational
sensation.
though. Like, as in the
Oh, it's
aesthetic
built on sensation though.
experience is just like being like, oh my god, I can't believe I live in this perfect world. Like that's just like you
Yeah,
experience
it's
some type of like you're just having
not
an
just sensory
emotional
though.
reaction to like being able to
Uh huh.
afford this. Yeah, being able to do this in the
You're
world.
having an
Like,
aesthetic you're having an aesthetic experience on top of the sensory experience.
sure.
Yeah.
And then I add that to like the pig hypothetical, and I'm like, I can't believe I get to do this in like the world. Like, surely I can just do that. There's nothing going wrong there.
We're talking about with the talking about well no, but the whole point is the aesthetic experience was built on top of the fact that it tasted good. Like if it tasted like shit, you wouldn't get the aesthetic experience.
Wait, say it again. Sorry. Sorry, I meant with like
If the food
with the pig. Like if I like stomped on the pig to hear it squeal, and then I get an aesthetic.
oh
Yeah.
but this is important though, right? So the aesthetic stuff with the pig,
Hmm.
in order to have an aesthetic experience and it be moral, the aesthetic experience has to be because remember, it's based on a conscious evaluation. It's based on an evaluation of why exactly what exactly is good about what's happening sensorily, right? And so
Wait.
if you had an aesthetic experience of the pig getting tortured or something,
Yeah.
Well, now you're not just thinking about the sensation. You're also now aware of the cause of the sensation and the relationship that the cause has to you. And now what you'd have to do is you'd have to morally elevate the torture of pigs. You go, oh, life is so wonderful. I get to torture these sentient creatures for my own pleasure. It's like, well, if you're deriving aesthetic pleasure from the torturing of animals, then this requires in some level the evaluation that torture is good. But torture is not good. Torture is not like an end in of itself. Sadism is not
But
correct.
then when you
That's not a
buy,
virtuous
but then you're
attitude.
paying for torture as well, though. So
But it's not
it's
about that.
I don't understand.
I'm
I'm
not. It's not
lost.
about the.
Sure, you can say it's not about
I
that,
mean,
and you're getting the aesthetic from something else, but it's still like happened down the chain. Like it's still like it seems
yeah.
weird. This
But
is
when
what
I
it seems
when
weird
I
because it seems like such a gray area that you can just sort of justify when it seems like.
it's not a gray area. There's just nuance to it. It's just not. It's just
But
not simple.
I don't I don't get it. So
Yeah.
these.
I mean, like,
Hmm.
yeah. Like, so for example, if I'm eating a steak, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, like this steak was the product of my hard work, and there are people who killed this pig and just provided it for me. I'm not taking pleasure in like the fact that the pig was like killed and that it experienced pain. I was taking pleasure in the fact that it's something
Wait, but
being
could you say you
utilized for
sort
my
of
means.
could you say you sort of are though? Because
I mean, I'm not taking pleasure in the fact that it's dying.
sure, you could say like you're not taking pleasure in it, like,
I'm
but
taking pleasure in
indirectly
its
you are.
relationship to production. I'm taking pleasure in its relationship to my taking pleasure in its relationship to the productive process, which I'm now enjoying the consequence of.
Yeah. See, it seems a little bit like that one seems a little bit
So, like,
like
for
slippery
example,
slope, I guess.
I don't think it's a slippery slope. I just think it's complicated. Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's all about like, for example, two people can look at the same movie and get two different like, they can take things out of it.
Hmm.
It's like, for example, have you seen the new Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, yeah. I have.
Yeah. Okay. So one person could look at the new Spider-Man movie, and be like, God, like Spider-Man is so me. Like, I can't believe Spider-Man is just he's been suffering through so much and he's so resilient. And he's undergone such a transformative change. That's just so inspiring. He was like able to overcome his things, and like he's
Hmm.
just such a hero for being able to overcome his stuff. So you derive aesthetic pleasure for that person from Spider-Man's personal journey, right? But some people might look at the movie like, oh my God, like that movie was so good because it really emphasized the importance of connections, and like it really highlighted like how exactly friends and your surrounding people can, like, how important they are to your happiness. You have to like really
Yeah.
appreciate them and like be intentional about, right. But now you're looking at the same thing, right? But you're focusing on different elements. It's not as if the other elements aren't there, but like the aesthetic pleasure you're deriving
Yeah.
comes from a selective focus on particular elements.
Oh, I.
So it's the same.
Mhm.
It's the same with this.
I was gonna say I completely agree, but like it just seems indirectly, you're. It's the move. Both of them are coming from the movie, right? So like, yes, you are sort of like,
Huh?
sure, you are abstracting different things from the movie and getting different emotional experiences like from the movie, but like indirectly, it's all
Uh-huh.
coming from the movie anyways. Like that's sort of what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, but this is the point though, right? So there's a genuine range
Hmm.
of there's a genuine range of different aesthetic experiences people could have from the Spider-Man movie that are all good. So it's like the intention matching the action thing. Like
Hmm.
that intention is consistent with the action. But remember, I think with some things like the torturing of listening to the torture of animals, or like certain kinds of sexual immorality. So like watching certain kinds of erotic material, or
Hmm.
playing certain kinds of violent games or something, like,
Yeah.
or saying certain things to people, things like that. I think it requires dishonesty in order to derive pleasure from the ways in which people try to do that. Like, I don't think you can like honestly try to focus out a certain element. I think, like, for example, if you're listening to like pig squealing, I
Yeah.
have like a really hard time believing it's like, oh, I'm listening to this pig squeal because like ASMR. Like, I don't really
Hmm.
think that's what's happening. I think people listen to it because they're like sickos and they love torturing animals.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I
don't
guess.
love torturing
But
animals. I get like super grossed out thinking about that. But when I eat steak, I'm like, oh God, like I
do you
cannot
not?
believe like my hard work paid off like this.
Yeah, I guess. But like, also, it just seems really weird that you like get the ability, you have the ability to make this choice over like another like creature's life. Like it just seems really just for your own like aesthetic pleasure. I just it
That doesn't
seems
seem weird for me.
it does for me. It like rubs me the wrong way. That it just feels wrong. Like just intuitionally on that level, it just feels wrong. But
I
I don't
mean,
know.
it feels really good for me. I'm like, oh yeah, like these creatures are means to my ends. Like they're great.
Okay, so like I also what about if I just let's say I just went up to the pig, yeah, like just the pig's like walking around. I just go up to it, I kill it, chop his head off, and then just like make myself some bacon, and I have the exact same sort of like experiences you were talking about. Like I haven't done anything wrong, have I?
Uh, no, I mean that's like how most humans live for a lot of human history.
Yeah, sure, but I guess the difference is just like I could have went to the store and got like a plant-based product,
I
obviously.
mean, yeah, there's a question of like why you choose to do it over having somebody else do it for you. But yeah, I mean, I think that's potentially moral
Like you,
because it's very clear it's not about it's very clear it's not about the suffering of the animal. It's like it's about the value it provides
it's
in
about
terms
the
of
value it
aesthetic
provides,
taste.
and then let's say I like put it in a position of like it's a human, and yeah, like what would
Hmm.
be? Is that wrong?
What's wrong about doing that? What's wrong about doing that to a human?
Yeah, like what would it be now? Like the wrong
Because
answer.
now it's unjust.
Oh yes, okay. So this is like the moral norms only supervene on like persons then.
People. Hmm.
Interesting. But then it just like really like do you actually believe that? Do you think you
Yeah,
can be
100%, bro.
just and unjust to like a non person? Obviously not like a rock, but it seems to be the case that like animals are definitely experiencing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's like senses of. I mean, I've thought about whether or not there's like a very primitive sense of justice which can apply to animals like that. And I basically think it has to do with like cruelty, which is like I think being sadistic to them is immoral, but I don't think like killing them so they can provide value to your life is immoral.
Okay,
Because like for
but
example,
then when do you
if
draw
I
the
saw
line
somebody
on
like if I
value
saw
to your
somebody
life
like
though?
well, what do you mean?
Because like I
Like are you asking what do I mean by value to my life? Or are you asking like how do I know whether something's valuable?
yeah,
Or
I guess kind of like how would you know? Like where would you? Yeah, where's the line drawn objectively there? Or is it not objective? Like is it just it
it
how it?
is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
objective.
objective. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. So like, how would we
Yeah, I mean,
find?
so
Mhm.
I mean, it's really complicated answer, but here's all the moving parts. So you have the requirements of human nature in order to flourish,
Yeah.
which establish the moral laws like being productive, being prideful, whatever. And then you have your personal life, and you have your hierarchy of values, so like things you regard as important that you choose.
Yeah.
And then you have all the different processes you utilize to sustain that. And then you
Okay.
take for granted this context of your values, and then you take for granted the principles of morality, and then you look at the action and you identify its ability to integrate with your hierarchy of values and its consistency with the principles of morality. And that's how you
Okay.
do it.
No, I get it. I guess you should like make that into like a diagram as well. I think that'd be so helpful. Like having it all like put out in a diagram. But yeah, I think I understand because it
Yeah,
works in just it literally is just a hierarchy. Like literally
yeah,
from
exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why in the Garden of Eden, like if it's needless, it's needless. Like, all right, yeah, sure.
So the only like genuinely like the only reason is because it provides an aesthetic value.
I mean, it's
That
not the
because
only reason. It's just
that'd
like
be the symmetry
it's like
breaker
a
though, wouldn't it?
decisive. I mean, it's a decisive reason. Yeah, that's right.
But that wait, that's the symmetry breaker though, isn't it? Because
It does break the symmetry. Yeah.
ah man, that's crazy. Okay, all right. Um, the last question was on truth because yeah, truth is like really interesting to me as well. Like I put thoughts on truth and like what makes something true. I guess like a theory of
Uh-huh.
truth. Like yeah,
Yeah. By the way, on basically all these philosophical questions, as you've noticed, I have like very unorthodox views. They're all very complicated.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Here's
I know.
here's my
I'm having trouble
so this my
understanding as well. So.
it's gonna be unsurprising than my answer to truth. I don't really think you need a theory of truth.
Okay.
um, I'm gonna say something like this. I'll say, I think truth is successfully identifying reality.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I literally thought. Well, I say it in a different way, but it's sort of the same thing. Like I thought, like I kind of just came to the conclusion when I was thinking about it. It's just like how your intellect grasps reality. That's it.
Exactly right. That's
Let's
actually exactly right.
go.
Yeah, I think that's right. The way I think about it is, maybe more complexly, is
Yeah.
truth is something that distinguishes knowledge from non-knowledge.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
if you think about belief forming as like an attempt at grasping reality, you either succeed at that or you don't. And truth is when you do, and falsity is when you don't.
Exactly. Mhm.
And if somebody's like, "Well, what makes that true?" It's like, uh, whatever you're talking about makes it true.
Yeah, but then
Like,
yeah, I also like I don't because you could also just be seeing like a color, right? And you could be like, or you could see like a couch and it's like red or something, and you could be like, that couch is red. But then it could be the case that well, yeah. So it's just like truth is just literally self-referential. Like that's just it because
um,
the couch could in reality could be different from red, but just because like you're perceiving it as red, that's it's
and
just
so
true. Like it's
I'll
like
put it this way: it's all based on the, yeah. I mean, so if I said that couch is red,
mhm.
well, it's all based. What makes that true is what that thing is, and then the meanings of my terms. Like,
Yeah.
okay, is that so? Firstly, there's an assumption that that is a couch. So like if you know what a couch is, and then you know what the thing is, you just compare the nature of the thing to what a couch is, and you might say, oh yeah, this is a couch.
Yeah.
And then you have a concept of red, and then you compare the color of the concept, the color of the thing to the concept of red, and you're like, oh, this is an example of red, and then
Mm.
that's true. And it's what makes that true is the thing,
The thing.
whatever you're
Exactly.
talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
and I mean, people. I think the whole truth debate, it just gets confusing because people honestly just have like really bad philosophical assumptions, and they think there's this like weird problem between relating consciousness to reality, or this hard problem relating propositions to the world. They think the world is mystical, or they think consciousness is
No.
mystical. And yeah,
No.
I just think it's simple. It's like, yeah, like a statement is true and it successfully identifies whatever it's talking about.
Yeah. I agree. I think yeah. I was trying to think of because I had. What do you think about what is it called? Like universals, like the colors being like universals, or what's it called? Like nominalists as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Yeah. Like what's your
yeah.
sort of view there?
Yeah, I'm not a realist about universals.
Interesting. Okay.
Um,
I
yeah,
always
I'm not a realist.
struggle giving like not straw man, like what's I can't remember the word where you take on the other person's position. Um, when I try
Stillman?
steel man, that's it. When I steel man like a nominalist's view, I can never do it. Like I don't actually really like understand how the thing. Like I don't understand how colors, like how redness isn't actually like, because it seems to be the case that things
Yeah,
possess
I'll
like
give it,
redness.
I'll give an example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give an example. So the distinction between so firstly, part of the reason why it's hard to do that is because the difference between realism and anti-realism about universals is like characterized in a really weird way.
I know. Yeah.
Um, I think the distinction's too broad. As you've kind of noticed from every position I take, I'm like a third positionist on like every issue. Um, so like I'm a third positionist in metaethics, I'm a third positionist in universals, and third positionist and other stuff. Anyway,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean the universal. So we'll call it universalism versus nominalism or something, or
Yep.
realism versus nominalism.
Yep.
Let's just say nominalism is the rejection of universals.
Hmm.
Well, like anti-realism, there's like a variety of views that fall under that category.
Okay.
So one view is, the reason it's called nominalism is that red is like a label we use to put on things that resemble each other.
Yeah.
That's one view. It's called resemblance nominalism. Um, and so those things have redness, but what it means to say they have redness is just a manner of labeling it based on a resemblance. That's what that would mean.
But they don't share this thing called redness.
No, they just resemble each other in a sufficiently
They
similar
just
way.
are like very closely resemble each other. Like not there's not like
Yeah, they don't. It's not as if there's like one of the many. They're just similar.
they're just all similar. Okay. Mhm. But that seems like
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
that's
like
not my view, by the way. But that's what resemblance nominalism is.
it does seem like both views like do sit with me. It's really weird. Like it seems like they both make sense. Like it seems like yeah, like we put the label of like red because it just like resembles this color. But then it also seems like these things do genuinely just share this thing.
I mean, I think both of those are wrong, by the way, both views. But
Oh, what do you
here's
think?
so well, understanding my view is probably good to understand the problem with the other views. So
Yeah. Okay.
really, really short demonstration on that. So take realism.
Yep.
According to realism, something either has the universal or it doesn't.
Okay. Yeah.
So because it either is red or it's not.
Yeah.
There's not like a range of red. There's is red. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the problem for this view is the problem of borderline cases, and I could do this visually, but you get the idea if I say this. Take a color spectrum
Mhm.
and just draw the line where red stops.
Okay.
um, it's
But
not gonna
could
work,
there not
right?
just be a universal for like every single different thing on the spectrum?
Okay, but here's why this is
Like
the thing,
shade.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be, right? But here's the important thing, right? Presumably, if redness is a binary, right?
Mhm.
You would be able to just tell whether something is or is not red if you knew what red was. But you
Mm.
can't, right? You can't do that because if there are borderline cases.
True.
Same
Yeah.
thing with like men, like trans women. Like
But like,
there's some
could
men you're
there
like, are those really men? Like, I don't know.
could there be a case where like two things genuinely just appear to be red and there was no doubt about it, and you're like, yeah, they're both red.
Yeah, sure, but the point is that the hard problems break the theory because the theory the
Oh,
theory
because it's
basically
still
predicts that there's
yeah.
no hard problems. It either is red or it's not. Um, okay, but so then what's wrong about resemblance nominalism? So resemblance nominalism says something like things are red because they're all sufficiently similar.
Mhm.
Now, keyword sufficiently similar.
Yeah.
Well, in what way do they have? What's the standard for sufficient?
Yeah. When
And you
does
don't know. And it's
yeah.
like, oh, wouldn't presumably the standard of sufficient presupposes knowing what the thing is, but
No.
that
Yeah.
requires knowing. But how can you know the thing you're trying to say? You're already assuming the knowledge of the thing you're trying to um, define. Okay, so both those views are shit.
Yeah.
How do we solve? So how do you solve the problem universals? Okay, here's how you do it. I just want to qualify. This is not my original view. This is a view developed by Ayn Rand. Um, it's her solution to the problem universals, and here's basically how it works. So take a red object, right?
Yeah.
I'm just calling it red so you know what I'm talking about, but you don't have to assume it's red. Take a red object, right? And then take another object that's like pretty similar in colors, like a Coke can, a Dr. Pepper can, and then take like a water bottle,
Yeah.
and, like put them all next to each other. You'll notice that each of these objects are different.
Yeah.
So they're all different. They're all particular and concrete. So I'm not presupposing universalism.
Yep.
Okay. But you'll notice, right, that the objects, the Dr. Pepper and the Coke can, right,
Mm-hmm.
they're less different compared to each other than to the water bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're all different. So universals are not being stipulated, but there's a range of how different they are comparatively. So they're comparatively less different. Well, if you understand that they're comparatively less different, here's what you can do. You can isolate the two things which are comparatively less different. I'll call that similarity. You can isolate the things that are similar against the thing they're being compared against. So like against the, whatever else is in their field of vision.
Mm-hmm.
You can isolate those two things and the respect in which they're similar. And this is technical here, but you can retain the similarity by omitting the particular degree in which they're similar. So for example, the Coke can and the Dr. Pepper, they have like a particular hue. Like you can like type in the hue is like the way you measure something's color,
Okay.
right? Like it has a very particular. It's like a particular shade. So you can think about there's this dimension along which they have a color called like the hue dimension
Yeah.
or the color dimension, and they have like a particular measurement. And the difference between all of these things is that they have a common denominator, which is color, but the color like varies along some dimension, and they have different measurements. And so what I can do is I can isolate the two things which I'm comparing, and I can omit the particular degree, the particular measurements in mind, but I can keep in mind the range of the similarity, while omitting the things within the range. And so the universal redness, what does it do? When I form the concept of red, what's happening is I'm grasping a range of particular colors along a dimension in comparison to other colors.
Yeah, I get it.
And what this allows you to do is it's like a better version of resemblance nominalism that solves the problem that we had earlier. Because if you ask what's the sufficient resemblance, it's like, well, it's sufficient comparatively within a context.
I get it. But surely you would need
That's
like
basically
a
it.
lot of experience with those different like red things. Or well,
Sure. I don't think you need a lot,
you
but
don't
I
need a
mean,
lot. Yeah.
it's really easy to form it's really easy to form the color red. You
Yeah.
just look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that thing.
Interesting.
Like another one is like uh take a
But
basket
like,
take like like forming the concept of shape is super easy.
yeah. But do you choose when it becomes not red when you compare it to because you know does that make
Oh, good
sense?
point.
Yeah.
Ready? So here's my view, right?
hmm
So the boundaries between one concept and the other
hmm
are inherently kind of vague because it's comparative, right?
Yeah.
So then what do you do then when you want to how do you handle borderline cases as they come up? Ready?
Yeah.
You form concepts based on the purposes. So the whole idea is concepts are purpose dependent, and so they're context dependent in this way. And so I'll
Yeah.
give an example. For me and you, if I asked you to name colors, you'll probably give me like 8 colors.
hmm
You could probably name me 8 colors. How many concepts of color do you think a painter has? A lot.
Yeah.
It's because for the purposes of the painter, right?
Yeah.
They need all these different concepts of color.
hmm
And so the borderline cases, like it's only a borderline just dependent on uh how important is this issue for you to conceptualize. Yeah, so in essence we draw the boundaries, but we draw the boundaries of concepts based on their usefulness to us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But so I guess my question is so when you have let's say like a red Coke can, right? And you have like this
Mhm.
other or you have like a Dr. Pepper and it's like you said it's relatively similar compared to like the water bottle. Or it's like more similar compared to like the water bottle, yeah?
Yeah, it's less different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. And then you have like this spectrum of like red when you next compare like something, right?
Mhm.
What what I'm trying to gather is like where's the cutoff? It
Yeah, but
seems
it's I mean at the start of forming a concept, it's kind of just based on the comparison. It's the range of similarity between the two things. But you can, as you get concepts, you can like include more things under them.
because like surely I could just cut it off between the Coke can and the Dr Pepper already, couldn't I? I could be like anything that's
So like
not this shade of not this like Coke can color is not red.
yeah, but that just wouldn't be the same thing as a concept because concepts are universal. That's just this thing's not the same color, right? Like particularly. So
hmm
you know that the Coke can's not the same color as a Dr. Pepper,
Yeah,
but you know that their color is more similar than the color of the water bottle or something.
sure. Yeah.
So the difference is that a concept has a range, whereas the other one, just talking about a Coke can, doesn't.
And then the range is just cut off like when? When did you say? Sorry, forgot what you
The
said.
range the range is defined because remember, in order to form a concept, you need
It
three
has to
things.
be yeah.
You It's two things being compared against a background. So the two things are your standards of range.
That's very interesting. I'll have to I'll have to like look into that. Think about it more.
Yeah, so it's really complicated view.
Yeah. Like I think I get it like bit like on the basic level, but yeah. That's interesting though. Like I've never heard that in my life. So um
Yeah.
but yeah, that's like all the questions I had. And I can't really think of any other follow-up questions that I have. I think I've asked you like the
Awesome.
majority of things. But like, I really appreciate you coming on and spending this much time talking about philosophy with me.
Yeah, no, of course I enjoyed it.
All right. Peace.